Hey guys, it's Mikey, and today we're going to learn how to build a Pro Sock Net. The frame assembly, the net assembly, and the padding assembly. And now, while this video is going to be for a Pro Sock Net, it can be used for the instructions for a Pro Softball screen and a Pro Field screen, because it is the exact same thing. The frame is the exact same and the padding is the exact same. The only difference is the net. And so when I build a Pro Sock Net, this video can also be attributed to a Pro Field screen and a Pro Softball screen. So in the next video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be building the frame and showing you how to do that. Thank you. So now I have the frame all on the floor, all spread out for me to show you. And each one of these poles has a number associated with it. And these instructions will tell you where each individual pole goes. And when I do it in this video, I will call out the numbered pieces. And so what I always start out with are the number 4 pieces and the 2 and 3 pieces, which are your base. You always start off with the base. And so the 4 pieces are your legs. And one thing to note is that this has a bigger hole. This has a smaller hole on the other side. This has a square hole. This has a circular hole. So when I put it in with this square hole, the small hole goes in where the square hole is. And I'll explain why later. So we put the 4s in. And if you ever have any issue whatsoever when putting these in, like there's a little bit of friction, that just means the powder coating is a little bit too thick. So all you have to do is basically just back and forth so that the powder coating will rub off. It will do nothing to the integrity of the screen. It will be fine if you do that. So just if that happens, that's the reason. So those are my 4 pieces. Now I have my number 2 piece and my number 3 piece that I'm putting in. It should just slide right in. Oh, right there. And now I have my base. And so after that, I'm going to do my sides. So I got a 2 and a 1, a 2 and a 1. Once again, the square hole right here is associated with the smaller hole here. My number 2 piece, my number 1 piece. My number 2 piece, my number 1 piece. And once again, this frame is for a Pro Field screen, Pro Softball screen, and Pro Sock Net. Now at the top, I have my number 6 piece. And then I have my number 2 piece. Just like that. So now you have that frame built, and what I'm going to do next is show you how to put this nut and bolts in. So real quickly, I will show you that this bolt will go in to this frame. So you have this square hole right here, and the reason why this is square is because this bolt is square right here. So it goes in and it gets sucked into that square whenever you bolt it down. And what that does, it adds rigidity and durability to the frame. And so I'm going to do that all throughout. In the next video, you'll see it all put together, and the next video will be how to install the net on here. Thank you. So as you can see, the frame has been built together. The bolts and nuts have been torqued down so that there's no flexibility in the frame whatsoever. And so now you can see the net is halfway put on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you another net that we have, another sock net, and how you're going to put it on. And so this is another sock net. What you're going to do is you're going to find your rope borders basically, and that's going to be your bottom. And so what I'm looking for is extra rope. And so right here. So this is an extra rope right here, and that kind of tells you where you are. As you can see, I'm going to go all the way throughout here and find my other rope. And that basically is my bottom. This opening is my bottom. It's not to get confused with the other opening right here, which is your sock. So what you're looking for is this extra rope right here for your opening of the bottom. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to your frame and you're gonna have 2 people with you, not just me, not just 1 person. You have 2 people, 1 person on this side, the other person holding this on the other side, and basically just draping it over like a pillowcase. That's why it's called pillowcase style. It's like a pillowcase going over a pillow. The net is going over the frame, it's draping over the frame. And so, what I'm gonna do now is just show you how to put the rest of it on. And so what's gonna happen is that these nets have these squares on them, and they're gonna get caught a little bit in these nuts and bolts. But don't worry about it, just go over it, it's not a big deal. So, what we're gonna do, this one's a little bit more difficult because it is a tight squeeze, but it's not overly difficult. As you can see too, what we call this rope border is that this is the border around the entire frame. And so I will continue shortly after I get this unhooked. There we go. Just like that. Down here. And I stuck that on. There we go. As you can see, it fits pretty comfortably around the frame. So like this right here, this is your rope border. You're gonna wanna be all around the frame with this rope border. And that's gonna tell you where you are. So now you can see that the sock is open. What you're gonna do with these Velcro pieces right here that come with it is you're gonna untie them and basically just wrap them around. That's all you're gonna do. I'm gonna show you one example of how to do it. So you have these Velcro pieces. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna tie this Velcro piece, untie most of it, and go around the frame, the other net. There's 2 pieces of net. You're gonna go around the other net, like so, and just tie it around like that. And so the next video, all this will be done. But actually, really quickly, what I will show you is how to put the bungee balls underneath here. See, so you see there's a little bit of net and frame difference. So you don't want the ground balls to get through. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get these bungee balls that are given to you in this little baggie, and you're gonna take this bungee ball, go through the net, go through the net first. And then what you're gonna do, wrap it around the bottom pole and wrap it around this bungee ball. And you're gonna go, we have 5 bungees. What you're gonna do is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way across. So the next video, this will be done, and the bungee balls will be done, and then we'll go onto the frame. Thank you. On the frame padding, thank you. So now we have the net, the bungee balls, and the Velcro put together. Now the last part is the padding. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of padding. All right. 2 of them are gonna be the same, another 2 are gonna be the same, and one's gonna be by itself. There's gonna be 2 pieces of padding that have just completely straight. And those are gonna be on this side and that side. You have your smallest piece of padding with the cutout, and that's gonna be over your bends. The cutout goes over the bends, okay? You have your logo piece, and that is gonna go over the top, the middle. And the same 2 pieces, you have the cutout, the smallest cutout piece goes over this bend. And then you have your other long piece that has nothing, no cutouts, it's completely straight, and that's gonna go on here. The next video you're gonna see, it's a demonstration how I put it together, the padding onto the frame, and then the final video will be a whole complete set put together. Thank you. All right, guys, so we have built the frame, we have put the net on, and now we just have a little small rendition of how to put the padding on. This is tied off by zip ties. You're not supposed to use zip ties to tie the whole thing. This is just to hold the pieces of padding in place. So we're gonna start with this side, and how you're supposed to tie it is with this twine. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to put this twine and tie it off in the first grommet. So I have this end of the twine. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie it off to this bottom grommet right here. And all I'm gonna do is make a very, very simple knot. Tie it off and make one more knot and tie it off. And then from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the other end of the twine. I'm going to put it through the original grommet, through the net, and onto the other grommet, through this other grommet from here to here. And from there, what I'm going to do, if you tighten it a little bit, you'll see it'll wrap around the frame. And then I'm going to use that same twine and go through the other grommet on top. So you go across and up, across, through, and up. And as you see, if I pull this tight, it'll wrap around the frame pretty comfortably. You're gonna do that throughout the entirety of the frame, all right? And once you get to the part where it overlaps, we'll just say this is part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and part 5. Part 1 goes underneath part 2 by 2 grommets, okay? It goes underneath by 2 grommets because part 2 has a flap that does not have any padding whatsoever in it. That's when you know it's gonna go over part 1 by 2 grommets. And you're gonna double grommet it through the twine. So you're gonna put 2 pieces over the twine, and you're gonna put the twine through both pieces, through the net, through both pieces on the other side 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you go to part 2 of the padding, and you have this bend. So what you're gonna do is overlap it, just like that. And it goes double grommeted as well. Same thing on the other side. And from there, you go to part 3. Part 3 goes over part 2. Same thing, you double grommet because this has that flap that has no padding whatsoever in it. And you're gonna go over and double grommet that as well 4 times. Same thing over here. Part 4 goes over part 3. Actually, no, I apologize. Part 3 goes over part 4. Same thing, double grommeted 4 times and again, 4 times again. Around the bend, same thing in part 4. You go over, you double grommet because you have the bend twice. Come over again, part 4 goes over part 5. You double grommet again. Once again, this piece does not have a piece of padding on it. So you double grommet 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. Go all the way through it until you tie it off the end. And in the last video, I'll show you how to tie it off at the end. Thank you. All right, so we pretty much concluded the padding portion of the screen and pretty much all the screen. The last thing I'll show you, the last 2 things I'll show you is how to tie it off. So we went throughout the entire frame with 2 pieces of twine. And so what we did was we ended on this side with the grommet. We pulled it tight and we went underneath the frame. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna tie this off. And basically what we're gonna do is use this piece of twine and tie it off over here. And so what you're gonna do, you have my left hand and you have my right hand. With your left hand, open this up, and with your right hand, go underneath it, create a hole. And with the original twine from the right hand, you just make that knot, pull it, and then you just pull down. And that knot tightens itself. Do the same thing, right hand goes underneath left, make the hole, right hand goes in that hole, tighten it down. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut it off with some scissors or whatnot. And if you have a lighter, that'd be nice. You can just light up the frayed ends to let it harden. The last part of this video is what I'll show you is a piece of twine. And so what I did was, at the very middle of this, I had to use another piece of twine. So 2 pieces of twine were used to pad this entire frame. And what I did was I tied it off. And so I used one end of the twine to tie off the beginning of the second part of the twine. And I'll just show you how I did that with this third piece that you're given. And so how I did that basically was I used just a very simple knot method. Let me just untie this real quick. And so what I did was I used one end of the twine, the last part of the twine of the first twine, and tied it to the other end of the second piece of twine. Basically all I did was this one end of the twine, the other end of the twine. I put them together and basically made some loops. Make one loop, make another loop. So you have that, crisscross them, have a hole, tie it together, another crisscross. It's like you're tying your shoes. Another hole. I would just recommend 2 knots, and that's how you do it. And then you just go throughout the rest of the frame, and that's how you do the Pro Sock Net. This is exactly the same thing as doing a Pro Sock Net, as doing a Pro Softball screen, and as doing a Pro Field screen. So This will be the only video I do for those three. This one just happens to be a pro soccer net. The same video will apply for a pro field screen and a pro softball screen. It'll just be a different net. That's the only difference. The padding is the same, the frame is the same, everything's the same. Even to put it on is the same. The net the same. It's just the net itself is different. So thank you very much for watching the video. And if you have any questions, please give us a call at 979-532-8155. Thank you.